Is it on? Thanks for tuning back into the channel. My name's Derek.
Hi, Monica.
She's still Monica.
Still here.
We got some goods on the table today. A full spread, if you will. Check it out. So it's what we got going on today for the Bronco. That's right. Onboard air. And if you know anything about off-roading, you know exactly what that brand is. We got an ARB Twin Compressors. 2 of them. See them? Air pump going on the Bronco. That's all good. But we want to show off from our friends at Grimm Off-road the mounting solution that they've produced for the 21 plus Ford Bronco. And don't worry, you can find all these parts at Nexgen Bronco Parts and Accessories.com. Now, let's get to the install of this. Let me show you and tell you all about it. Grimm Off-road's got you set up. The bracket is a 2-piece system. It literally will cradle your twin air compressor right in there like a baby. It's awesome. It comes with all the necessary mounting hardware and air connections from here to here. Also comes with a braided line. Goes from your compressor to a little bulkhead fitting. They even send you zip ties. They know you're going to have to zip tie some stuff up. So, it comes with all necessary wiring. This system is literally plug and play. You've got instructions if you need them. But watch the video. I'll show you how it goes together. It's super simple. Now jumping over to the air compressor, it's even simpler there. Now don't get worried. You see wiring and you go, weird. Don't do that. These wires, these are for air lockers. We don't have air lockers. We got electronic lockers. So we don't need those. Not this time. The wiring can't be any simpler. Literally it plugs into the air compressor and then you have 2 powers, 2 grounds. You're done. It's literally long enough to go from the compressor around the engine bay, zip tie it up, and hook up to the battery. Can't be any easier there. Let's get to it. Well, the first thing we got to do is down inside here, there's a 10 millimeter. It's really hard to see. Probably ain't going to see it on camera, but so what you got to do is loosen that up, and then it's going to allow you to pivot the orientation of where our air line is then going to come out of the pump. Once you've got that loose, pop out your little red cap, dispose of that properly, and get yourself some good Teflon tape. Don't skimp. You don't want a leaky hose. Nobody likes a leaky hose. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Make sure you're going with the Teflon tape like you're tightening it on to the fitting. If you do it the wrong way as you're tightening it in, the Teflon's going to want to back off and, well, you got a mess, potentially a leaky hose. So, a couple wraps will do ya. Make sure it's good and on there, and just simply tighten it into the air compressor. Don't cross thread it as much as you want to. Don't do it. As your fitting gets tight, don't go too tight. You want to aim it to where it's going to be going under the warning sign. Because once this braided line goes on here, like so, we're then going to pivot it down to where it exits the pump this way. Exit stage right. Now that you've got it in the correct orientation, and you got your braided line on there, make sure to snug back up that 10 millimeter bolt in. Make sure your hose is tight. Don't want it leaky. Now, we got this in the right orientation. We got this tightened back up where it isn't going to move. Now we get to actually mount our air compressor in our Grimm bracket. Cool part is this is going to mount our compressor vertically. So all you got to make sure is this little tab is pointing in towards the engine of the Bronco. So when this goes onto the air compressor, for now, we're just going to slide it on right through. Then, with the provided hardware in the air compressor, you just bolt the bracket right through to the air compressor. I opted to put some Loctite on there because, this thing's going to vibrate. So, Dribble a little bit. Use the blue stuff. Red's like permanent, and don't use just blue. So, now, you want to help me? Want to give me a second set of hands? Because when you flip this over, this side's obviously taller than this side. So it's kind of like a juggle. So, if you got a second set of hands, it's going to make it easier. Go snug. Don't break them.
They might.
Now it's test time.
Test time.
Were you paying attention?
I was.
Do you know how to wrap the Teflon?
I was filming. I can do it.
Righty-loosey or tighty-righty?
Tighty-righty.
Righty-tighty.
Sure. Yep.
I like that. So now is what we're going to do is take the next air fitting. We're going to wrap the Teflon the correct way. Maybe.
Maybe.
It's debatable. And then we're going to take our next bracket and make sure your bulkhead brass fitting is tightened. Ours was a little bit loose, so just double check that. Then the fitting that Monica's wrapped, hey, you're doing it the right way. Yeah. Good job. Is going to go in the back side of our bulkhead fitting. And then this entire bracket is going to sit on top of the air compressor just like that. And then our line is going to loop around, and it's going to be so pretty.
Professional Teflon.
Tefloner.
Tefloner.
Basically a plumber's now. Righty-loosey.
Is that wrong? That's wrong, isn't it?
No, it's fine. You're doing great. Don't second guess yourself.
That's about all I got.
Okay, now use your tool and snug it up. Now that you've got that tightened up, thread on the other side of your braided line. And then literally, the bracket just flip right over itself, right on top of the air compressor. Now, a couple things to note, guys. The provided hardware from Grimm is all the same, except one bolt. You'll know which one it is because it's longer than the others. You need to make sure to figure out which one's longer and just set it aside, because these carriage head bolts will go through the bracket oh so nicely, just, you know, like this right there, and it looks good. But that one longer bolt will show you where it needs to go when our, you know, computer brain box of the Bronco mounts to this.
So it's technically a floppy wrench.
Flippity floppity.
Flippity flop.
Now that you've got your bracket assembled, we can hook up wires, and it's plug and play. With the ARB air compressor, they send you a little rocker switch. Super nice. Grimm took it to a new level, and they made a slot where your switch will literally just mount on the bracket itself. Because remember, this side's going to be up. Also, Grimm sends this pigtail that clicks into the existing wiring spot on the ARB compressor. All you got to know is on your switch, it's hard to see, but there's a little up arrow. All you got to do is take your black wire and put it on the top one. And then the middle one, what color was the middle one, Monica?
Red.
Red. I was mainly asking because I forgot. So, goes on the red side, in the middle. The red one is in the middle. And then last but not least is the purple wire. That one goes all the way on the bottom. Now we're only utilizing the side of the switch that has all three prongs sticking off. The other two, I would imagine, is going to be for the setup for the air lockers, if you got them. We're electronic. We don't got them yet. Now, all you got to do is route your pigtail through the bracket and just simply click the switch in place. Is it going to be that satisfying sound? Basically. Now, that's secure. Make sure you take your wire and you loop it up in here so it's out of the way. Use some of the provided zip ties if you need to. And literally, it just plugs in right here. So, we'll get that tied up. Then, brain surgery time. We're removing the computer. Now, the fun part, we get to remove the PCM, the computer, the brains. I don't know what it does, but it does things. It doesn't specifically say this in the instructions, but I did decide to disconnect the battery because, well, we're doing electrical things, so might as well not have juice running through it. First thing you're going to want to do, get yourself a panel tool, pop out this little Christmas tree clip, get it out of there. I said get out of there. Got it out of there. Then you're going to want to take an 8mm socket. We're going to be undoing these grounds. 1, 2, 3. Now that you've removed those 3 bolts, we get to unplug the main power supply to the PCM. There's a little tab right here in the middle. Simply push in on that, and then this little rocker come over, and then just simply wiggle out on here. Gentle but firm. Should come right out. And just don't be concerned. It's fine. Now, the last thing holding the PCM in, from the fender liner underneath, there is one of the little plastic tab bolt things going through it. Let me get it out and I'll show you. You need a panel tool. So, in the bottom, well, simply held in by this little plastic, keeper. You just simply unthread that Phillips and then pop it down with your panel tool. Now, you got the whole brain to your Bronco in your hand. Let's mount it to the ARB Grimm air compressor mount. Because I have the brain to our Bronco in my hands, am I nervous? I'm a brain doctor. All you gotta do is remove these 3 10mm nuts, take off your brain, set your factory bracket aside, keep it, just in case. And then literally, this guy is gonna mount onto our air compressor bracket, just like that. Remember I was talking to you earlier in the first part of the video about the longer bolt? Well, this is where it comes in. It's very important that this longer bolt comes through the front portion of the bracket. This can be up against the fender, so it comes through right there. Now, let's mount in the other 4. Now, this is great. So the reason we need the longer bolt on the top side of the computer, PCM, is because you've got this bracket, the side support bracket. Now, we're skipping around a little bit. We're kind of moving around some of the steps. But, promise you, this is going to make it way easier. Just put this in here loose for now. That way, when you get in here, you don't have to try to hold the carriage head bolt in place and get this bracket on there. Right now, technically, we're skipping to step number 17, if you're following the instructions. I checked to make sure I'm telling you the right step we're skipping to. We're not following the instructions. We don't do that around here. Now that we skipped around and got this bracket loosely on here, we're back on track. You want to take this bracket. This is actually going to mount down to one of the studs sticking up for your strut. Just going to take off 1 bolt. In our case, it's a 15mm. This drops down on there. Then it's just a support bracket. So when our compressor bolts in, we've got extra support. First thing you're going to want to do is take a zip tie, provided zip tie. Just loop it through the bracket. Just kind of leave it there. Then you're going to want to take this little rubber isolator, and it just mounts on the top of the bracket. Then when the compressor bolts up, kind of keeps vibrations down. Don't forget your washer and your 10mm nut. Now we're about ready to put the air compressor in its place. But then we realized, well, how do you get the air out of the air compressor? Well, we're gonna make that work. We're just gonna use a, one in the shop. Now I'm short parts. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All we do is we thread it in here, and it's like perfect. It gives it that rough, tough kind of look, like it's well used. We'll get trail credit, I think, is what I'm saying. By the way, if you want to have a sweet opportunity, literally today, April 16th, 2023, Nexgen Bronco Parts and Accessories is selling this whole setup. You get the Grimm bracket, you get the twin ARB air compressor, and the two-way Morflate inflator hoser stuff. All you gotta do is get on Nexgen Bronco Parts and Accessories, place your order, and you even receive $50 off. That's for the rest of the month of April 2023. Now, let's get this thing installed. Before we do that, we have one more thing to put on our compressor, and it's the air filters. Super important, don't forget about it. Take out your two little red plugs, and they're these guys. All you gotta do is just thread them right in to the top of the compressor. Now, at the start of the video, I said stick around because I want to find something out. We know this air compressor is really good at pumping up tires. I think they say it'll do like a 40-inch tire in like 4 minutes or something. That's pretty good. So, my question is, can I take a tire off the Bronco with this air compressor? So as soon as we get this hooked up, we're going to just scooch the Bronco in the air, and we're going to, use an air gun, see what happens. Before you put it in the Bronco, you got to plug in your wire. Makes it a lot easier because that plug-in is going to be on the bottom. So 2 seconds, plug this in, and we're good to go. Literally, this runs over to your battery, and then this bigger end just literally plugs in. Boom, just like that. Watertight connection, by the way. Now it's ready to go in the Bronco. So we've got the ARB air compressor installed, and you gotta have yourself little fingers and an extendo wrench, 8mm, to get down in there and get the very bottom one started. It's a pain, but just take your time and things will maybe go as planned. But for now, while Monica's working on that, I am going to take and show you how we're going to route the wiring. Literally, it comes from the pump. We're going to go across with the existing wiring. We'll tie it all up real nice. These are inline fuses. Super nice. Literally, we just got to put on a couple eyelets for the power, and then our two grounds. So let me dig up some wiring stuff and we'll hook that up while Monica's over there hooking that up.
Slaving away.
Good luck. Did you get it?
No.
No? Why not?
Well, I tightened them all, and then supposedly there's grounds that nobody told me about that I was supposed to do, so here I am redoing it.
Now you do the grounds.
No, I don't know where they are.
Should be...
They're gone.
This one
No grounds needed.
hooks up on an angle in there.
Sure.
And then our Oracle lights.
Oh,
Ground through
that's
there
needed.
too.
We need that one.
So did you get the 8mm in?
Got them all in. The grounds are in there. Very
All
important.
3 of them.
For real, don't forget them.
That bottom one, if you can see it, is a monster pain. You gotta have Monica-sized hands. Now, the next thing we're doing, Monica's doing, if you can see, is taking out that inner fender bolt.
Okay.
And there is the other little bracket that supports off to the side. We'll tighten those two down. Once those are tight, then the last step is to get the 10mm nut and washer on that guy. Then, to update you on my wiring, I got it all zip tied in place just across the top here. Then there's 2 black wires and 2 red wires. So I just took and conjoined the 2 black wires, put a little eyelet on there, and then an eyelet on each of the red wires. And we'll make our connections, red and then the black. And again, I still got the battery disconnected because we're playing with power and I don't feel like screwing something up. So, making progress. I mean, you just can't really even tell there's been something added to the Bronco. But we got onboard air, guys, is what I'm saying. Now, we don't have to pack a pump with us. So, ready? Pump should run for a couple seconds until it pressures up, but then also the design of it is there's cooling fans on the base of each cylinder, and those run all the time. So, well, here goes nothing. And there it is. So if you can hear those fans running, those will run all the time. So now, let's hook up an air hose and see, maybe. Do you think it's going to run an air gun?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Hard maybe.
I don't know. I haven't ever seen anybody try it. So I want to try it. Are we the first ones? I don't know. I don't care about that. But let's see what it'll do. That is just slick. Grimm got it figured out. All right, so we got air gun hooked up. Now, important thing, when you're running this air compressor, let your Bronco run because it pulls some juice. And you don't want to be on the trail airing up and then not be able to start up. So first we're going to start up the Bronco, then we're going to turn the air compressor on, and we're going to see if it's going to break a tire loose for us. I don't know. Let's find out. I don't know. It might do it, but it might not. No guarantees. Well, there's one. We'll let it pressure up. There's two. We got 6 to go. 4 to go, but 6 total. We didn't even wait for it to pressure up. You know, gotta wait for it to pressure up. Just let it do its thing. And now I officially think we've got a stock air tools in the Bronco. Great. So we know it'll remove a tire, but will it pump up a tire? Well, let's find out. Unfortunately, our early Bronco has suffered from a flat tire. It's wounded, it's got a lame leg. So let's see how long the ARB air compressor takes to pump us up. I'm serious, we're stocking air tools in the Bronco now. This tire was actually really flat. That's what happens when you neglect stuff. Oh, we're at 30. I don't know about you, but I'm impressed that the ARB air pump will take a wheel off. That's awesome. I haven't seen anybody do it, so I was just, wondering. Hey, huge shout out to Nexgen Bronco Parts and Accessories for sponsoring today's video. Get off your couch and go create an adventure. We'll see you next time.
Bronco Adventures.